I was 13 in 1983 and everything was just starting to make sense. But those were the days when it was deeply uncool to like what was actually in the charts. So Kajagoogoo, Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, they're all things I'd be quite happy to listen to right now. But at the time they were deeply, deeply uncool. And me and my friends worshipped at the altar of John Peel and the Festive 50 and his radio show. And so for me, the tracks of the times were Blue Monday was the single of the year. New Order was just becoming massive in my area because I went to school in Blackburn, which was near Manchester, so it was part of that whole thing way before Manchester, when all these southern gits discovered northern music and started coming up in coaches and pretending to go to the Hacienda. But no, we were into the Smiths and we were into New Order and we were into strange bands like Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry and the Cocteau Twins and all that kind of thing, which was all really good fun culturally. But politically, we used to argue a huge amount. And I remember actually the genuine fear around nuclear war because we were children and we were fearful of a nuclear holocaust because we were probably still traumatized by that television series Holocaust, which had gone a few years before, I think at the end of the 70s. And so every twist and turn and every bit of saber rattling was gripping. And so when cruise missiles arrived and the Greenham Common peace camp started up, that was quite a big moment. And CND was influential, but it used to really, really divide people, and we used to have fierce arguments, even in the school playground. And Margaret Thatcher won her election after her short victorious war in the Falklands, and that used to divide people too. And I remember in particular the shooting of Stephen Waldorf, who was an unarmed man who was shot in the back of a car by armed police in London. It was a very shocking moment because for a lot of us, it hadn't really occurred to us how many armed police there were. And it provoked another round of debate about arming the police in Britain more widely. And I remember speaking in my school debating society about on the motion, this house believes it's time to arm the police. And I think I was speaking against, but I can't remember precisely. But it was sort of one of the things that got me into debating, and debating got me invited onto a TV show that used to invite young people to debate with politicians, and that got me invited to become the chairman of that television show and become a presenter 5 years later, after 1983. So it all kind of began there, I think, when I became very politically aware, and the early 80s were a very important time. So those are my sort of memories of 1983. And in retrospect, it was a pretty strange time. I remember in terms of fashion as well, I was just becoming vaguely aware of how I looked and what I should be wearing, and trying to take control of that from my mum. And so when she wouldn't take in my school trousers to make them tight, drain pipes, I did it myself in the school art room with the staple gun. So these and many other memories are held for me in 1983.